Hi guys, it's Archie Luxury and welcome to the Archie Luxury channel. Today I'm coming to you from Shenzhen, China, right next door to Hong Kong. I'm taking a 2-week little break, but I will be back in Australia before you know it. Guys, what I want to talk about today is this is my business. I do YouTube. I make YouTube videos. Actually, my main thing I do these days is I do a daily live stream, morning and night. I do a live stream morning and night. Please check it out. I'll put a link. It's the ArchieLuxury live stream channel, dedicated channel. I stream morning and night, 7 days. Well, at the moment, 7 days a week. We'll talk about that in this video here. So, a little bit about myself there. I have been full-time on YouTube since September 2014. That's right. That was when my contract at the waste management plant ended. That's right. I used to work for Remondis, big German waste company, and my situation kind of ended. That was in September 2014, and look at it now. It is October 2024, almost 10 years to the day since I last worked for a paid gig with a boss. So what did I do? Well, in that time there, Jesus Christ, that last 10 years, I would never have picked what would have happened to myself in that time. I had some very incredible things and some very fucking lousy things. And it's kind of sad. I look back over this period of time here. I'd love to go back. I would love to go back. I'd love to change a few things, but hey, that is the way the world works. So, holy shit, look what's happened to the world. So anyhow, guys, my main source of income comes from live streaming, and I had phenomenal success with the COVID situation. That's right. So basically 2014 I concentrated on making videos. I also made a lot of videos on my Poor Pluto channel. That's where I do paid watch reviews. I did a lot of paid watch reviews. And I did videos on the ArchieLuxury channel. Live streaming wasn't paid then. Can you believe that? Completely different world. Then I started doing more live streaming. Then I remember 2019. COVID, at the end of that, COVID sort of came in. 2020, I was streaming daily. That's right. And I got to tell you, I had some phenomenal success. It made more money than I'd ever received as a salaried wage and salary earner. More money. I had a budget for travel. It was incredible. It was a incredible merry-go-round ride. And I did a few things. I put money away for a rainy day. When the sun is shining, I put a lot of money into some watches, vintage watches, and unfortunately, in October 2022, I had my collection stolen. I did get some insurance. Yes, I did. I did get some insurance. Probably got less than half back from insurance. So, that was a nasty journey. It also, when you have some success, you do a certain other things. For example, I financed, leased, fleeced a beautiful. I mean that we're not talking Bentley or we're not talking Bentley or Lamborghini, but we are talking. I went and got myself a PCP finance. I got a BMW. Jesus Christ, I wish I could fucking give that thing back. If I could give that back to the dealer today, I would love to do that. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work like that. No. Unfortunately, the problem is that I entered into a financial arrangement. I claimed in Australia, we had post-COVID tax incentives to boost the economy. And one of the incentives was you could write off depreciation, 5 years depreciation in 1 year. So I did that. So if I sell the car before I've had it less than 5 years, I'm afraid you will have to, it's considered income, anything you get for the car. And that's not the only problem with this vehicle here itself. The other problem is that it is actually the finance, the current balance on it is probably what the dealer, if I turned up at the dealer and says, get me out of this, I don't want it anymore, I would have to give the dealer probably $5,000 to $10,000. Well, probably $5,000 to $10,000, because I am upside down, meaning I owe more than the car is worth. That is despite putting in a hefty $11,000 deposit. That is despite buying a demonstrator instead of a brand spanking new. I got a demonstrator with 4,000 kilometers on it. It is what it is. So, yeah. So that's maybe not, that's not easy to get out of. But in the meantime, I got a $1,000 Aussie, 1,029. What's that? 700 US payment every month to contend with. So what has happened? What's gone wrong? Well, the business has changed. The business has really changed. The revenue has really, it's like a lot of small businesses. I've got to adapt to difficult market conditions. There was all this free money circulating. All this free money was circulating because the government was trying to keep the economy from collapsing during COVID times. Interest rates were low. We had 2 to 3% money. Now, in my country, housing loan money is 6%. 6%. Cars, 10% in often the case. So money's become tighter. Everything. We've also got a terrible cost of living. So it is a bit scary. So what do I do? What do I do in my own business if it doesn't improve? What the fuck do I do? And I got to tell you, that is something that is, it's a difficult thing. Compounded to this problem here, I also have the horrible situation. Earlier this year, I had one of my sons passed away. The good-looking young guy here, Anthony, passed away. He died. Unfortunately, he died. I'm still dealing with the fallout from that. He died of a drug overdose. Very sad circumstances indeed. So I've got the emotional baggage, and sometimes I look at my YouTube business and the last fucking thing I want to do is stream every fucking day. Last thing I want to do is make videos, make my life public. However, we got a few problems. I am now 52. Well, I'll be 52 in 10 days' time. And what the fuck am I supposed to do? So I have been out of IT contracting for 10 years. Interestingly enough, I had a look at salaries for IT, and generally speaking, they may have gone up. When I was doing IT, it was about 60, 70,000 a year for a mid-level sort of contract. It's Australian dollars, not US, guys. Now it's probably $5,000 to $10,000 a year more, but the cost of living has bitten hard. It's so much more expensive for food, rent, etc. So, fuck, wages have gone up a little bit, but not as much as the increase in the cost of living, which is a real bitch. It's a real bitch. I also have to deal with the fact I'm in my 50s. See, IT is a young man's game. Being 52 in IT is equivalent to being 62 in any other industry. It's a young man's game. They don't want old 52-year-old opinionated, stubborn guy. They want young and fresh and snappy and da. They don't, that's the reality. And I kind of, a good friend of mine said to me, you got 3 choices, Archie: Uber, driving taxis, or delivering pizza. He said, that is what you got, sunshine. Don't give up the YouTube business. And it's a bit of a wake-up call. It is a bit of a wake-up call. It is all over. It's over. Now, I've got to be totally honest with you. It's little bit depressing being 52, and fuck, it has been a little bit difficult. As I mentioned, 2022 October, I had the horrible burglary where I had my collection was stolen, nothing recovered. I got some insurance money. I then had the tragic loss in May 2024 of my second son, Anthony, who died. And I've got to tell you the truth. What the fuck do you do? I'm thinking, fuck, it's just had a massive correction there. The business that I know it is a lot harder. Now, I'm not trying to be, I don't want anyone to think I'm entitled. We're not entitled to jack shit, Charlie. I done it for 10 years making videos and live streaming, and the market can correct. Well, that is life. That's life. It can correct. You've got to jump with the times. So I got to tell you, in my own circumstance, what am I going to do? So I can see changes there, and I've had some terrible anxiety, I think, with the loss of my son, compounded with the fact that I'm getting older. I've had some big anxiety, and it's quite strange. I've actually been watching a few channels on YouTube. A great channel is Fade to Grey. He's a guy in Manchester, the United Kingdom. He's a professional. I think he's an accountant, and he had a number of accounting contract roles. And he's 50, I think he's 56 or 57. And he's found it incredibly difficult to get into a new contract post-COVID. And I got to tell you, the funny thing is, he's probably a very, very skilled accountant. He's got decades of experience, decades of he's done the work, and it's very sad to see someone who you'd think would be at the peak of their career is finding it hard to get a gig. And I look at my own business, because this is what YouTube is for me. I am self-employed. It's a business, and unfortunately, the figures are certainly down. The figures are down, and that could be a variety. Maybe I'm not as peppy as I was before. And let's face it, I've had the burglary, I had the death of my son. That's enough to zap the shit out of anybody. There are people who have a life event like that who never, they have nervous breakdowns. They never recover. I'm trying my best to try and stay sane, stay calm, stay functioning and relaxed. But the reality is, it can be fucking bleak. Add to that the fact that the wristwatch market, the watches that I talk about, watches, guys, luxury, expensive wristwatches. Well, what's happened to these fucking things? I will tell you what's happened to these fucking things. The market has pulled back. That's right, guys. These things here were, these were, everybody, loved watches they wanted to acquire. The market has pulled back because money's tighter. It can't be flavor of the month forever. It can't be flavor of the month forever. So, guys, this is the problems I've got. So let's talk about what strategies have I done to deal with this disaster. So I got to tell you, I've kind of thought to myself, well, what can I do? Well, the first thing I've done is I've actually got my taxes up to date, because I had reasonable, the last thing I want to do is being anxious, to have anxiety. Have I put enough money away for the tax man? Because he wants his fee. Believe you me, the tax man, that's how it goes. You have a good year, that you have to pay your taxes, death and taxes. You could never avoid. So to help my own anxiety, I've actually done my records. In Australia, we have a financial year, which is the 1st of July to the 30th of June. So I have just, now we're in 2024-25. I've done 23-24. That financial year, I've actually done my records, submitted my tax return. Off it goes. I know it's technically, because I use an accountant, my taxes are not, my tax return is not due until the 1st of, I think it's not due until May, but I've submitted them now because I'd like to know exactly where I stand. I know I've got to, how much money I need to pay. In my case there, I've got to come up with about $9,000, okay, which is fine. It means I didn't pay enough tax, and that's the reason. What's fair enough. No problems at all. I've also started looking at my future records from July, August, September, October. I've actually thought, well, let's have a look at that 3-month spread and let's see what's happened. Now, I've done that, and unfortunately, I can see significant declines in the business. The revenue is much lower. The expenses, of course, is I've actually had to trim a few of the expenses. And as I mentioned there, I would dearly love to give that BMW back. I would love to give the BMW back and walk away from payments, but it's a double whammy because I've claimed 5 years depreciation. I can't get out of it because I can get, you can get out of it, but there is a penalty with my taxes, and there's also a penalty because the car market has gotten very tough, even though I put in a reasonable deposit and I got a demonstrator, so you'd think that that would factor in some depreciation. I'm still upside down on the finance. That's right. That's right. So that's an interesting thing. So, guys, what do you do then? So, in my own case, there's no point putting your head in the sand and pretending all is fucking rosy, because it's not rosy. Okay? It is fucking difficult. So, in my own case, what I've done is I've done my taxes, and I've done my taxes for last financial year, and I've also looked at the 3 months since that to see what is happening with the business. And the revenue is substantially down. How much down is it? Well, it's roughly half of what I was generating before. Okie dokie, no problems at all. At least I can still survive on that. Now, the thing is, what do I want to do with myself? Well, the next thing I've done is, let me tell you, sneaky. This is so I've done my figures, and I had good figures. And this is something a lot of people criticized me for, but I took out a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. And what I took that out for was to have a bit of a safety net. Because let's face it, if you have no safety net, if you're behind in your payments, guess what, fuckers? Guess what? What happens? You know what happens? 3 months and they'll sell you up. So by having money, you can keep making the payments. Now, whether it's borrowed money or savings, it preferably would be savings, but in my case, it's I've got some borrowed money up my sleeve, which basically gives me time. It gives me time, which is a valuable commodity. So I've got to be frank and honest with you and tell you that these circumstances have changed. I'm changing the way I do business. I'm trying to cut my expenses. For example, in the past, I went to the United Kingdom and America to promote my show, my live streams, meet the fans. That is no longer on the cards due to the costs. If I am going to go overseas, it would be low-cost country. I'm presently staying with a friend in Shenzhen. They give me a very cheap rate. I can stay here next to nothing. So I've got to tell you, in my own case, I'm very aware of the fact that the market conditions have changed. I mean, I could come out here and say, everything's fantastic, everything's great, but I don't want to bullshit people. I don't want to, I think it's better to be honest. I had some amazing times. I earned a lot more fucking money than I ever would have made in IT with my skill set. And unfortunately, those days are over. They're over. It's Red Rover. They're over. So what I've done is, two things I've clearly done is, number one, is I have brought my financial records up to date, because there's no point living in a fool's paradise. If it is down, you want to see what the trend is. The next thing I've done is I've secured some HELOC, home equity line of credit. I wanted to get the money whilst I was still able to borrow the money, because if I have a shitty year, suddenly I'm not able to borrow it. They only lend money to people who don't really need it. And then the third thing I am doing is, I looked at my expenses and I realized my car is a bit of a problem. The car, the beautiful BMW, is a problem. It is a problem. So I've looked at it and I've sought professional advice. I went to my accountant who told me, you've got a depreciation liability. I checked out a few dealers who told me, the market's fucked, Arch. The market is fucked. And I know exactly where I stand. Now, I've also got the HELOC. So technically, I could pay out the PCP. Again, I spoke to my accountant because I am able to claim some of the interest charge. But I said to him, if I pay it out with the HELOC, it's no longer easy. What's the story? He's given me an answer. So I now feel comfortable in the fact that I could actually pay out that loan at any time, and I can then sell it or enjoy the vehicle on my terms. So that's exactly what I have done. The other thing I've done is, let me tell you this, with my business itself there, I had a number of expenses I put onto my credit cards. I did a lot of travel. London was expensive because I cancelled and rebooked because of the death of my son. I went to a few trips that I'll be totally honest with you, I went too many countries, too many places. I went to Dubai, for example. And Dubai itself, I thought it'd give me some content and some swagger for the show, but it was an awful time to broadcast. It means I'd have to broadcast at 3 a.m. I did it a few times. I went to Darwin. I went to Cairns to see LA Methwich, who was apparently ill, which when I got there, didn't seem to be that ill. That's for sure. Certainly wasn't worth flying there to see. Let me say that to you. I went to Darwin. I went many trips, which in hindsight, I shouldn't have done. I went to Lux's wedding. That turned out to be a bit of a fiasco as far as super chats and the community go. The wrong choices were made, but it has to be paid for. And guess what? I raked up. I had a few personal expenses. I then used some of the HELOC to pay out my cards because that's high expense. Now the thing is, that's okay as long as I don't go and recharge up those cards again. If you start charging up again, then you're really fucked. So I've gotten rid of I got rid of those debts, but I am very cautious to spend money. Now, that's had a backlash. Let me give you a scenario. The fans, some of my good people, wanted me desperately to go to New York this year. And partly the reason I'm in Hong Kong was I bought the ticket to Hong Kong with points and money, and I was supposed to stay here for a week and then fly to New York and come back. That's what this ticket was for. And it was only when I was halfway through doing the accounting that I realized, holy fuck, this isn't making money. Now, there's been a bit of a backlash. They were a bit angry at me for not coming to New York, but I'm really sorry. The problem is a hotel in Manhattan is 500 Aussie. That's 300 US a night. That's for a hotel without a toilet or a bathroom. You got to have a communal one on the floor. I mean, New York is really expensive. It really is. I'm just telling you the truth. New York is fucking expensive, and it's probably the greatest city in the world, but it's expensive. So I canned that. Now, I could have not come on this trip here to Hong Kong, but I'd already booked the tickets, and because it was half points, I'd forfeit them because they were going to expire anyhow. So I thought, you know what, just come, have a bit of a sabbatical, have a relax, just relax a bit. And I'd made a promise. I don't like to renege on promises. I'd actually, with the Breguet, I had ordered a replacement leather strap from Breguet, and because this model's no longer made anymore, I wanted to get an original strap for it, which I did get. And I've got to be honest with you, I'm glad I got it. I said I'd do it. I had to do that. I promised them I'd pick it up. They were holding it. They held it for me for bloody 4 months. So I didn't want to renege on them because I'd already, well, I look like a douchebag if I renege on that. So I said I would do it. It's done. I'm not going to order anymore. I'm not going to spend money like it's. Mind you, if I put it with the watch when I sell it, it'll add. I'll probably get the money back on it. But that is the situation. That is how it goes. And my own life itself there, how is it? It's okay. But it just feels just a bit flat. I am flat, fuckers, flat, very flat. And I gotta tell you, it's been the small business. It's fucking tough. Sometimes small business, it can be incredibly hard. And as I say there, sometimes I don't feel like putting my personal life out in the world there. But my problem is I've done this for 10 fucking years. What else am I going to do? What the fuck? I'm now considered old, and I don't feel old. I don't feel any different than my late 30s, really. I don't feel. I mean, sometimes I wash the car, my back's sore, a few little things like that. But I feel the same. I don't feel hugely different. And I got to say, I kind of, I enjoy. I still think I've got a lot of work experience. I enjoy many things, but that is just how life is. It's never super easy. It can be tough, and I think all you can do is try your best. If it doesn't fucking work out, in my own case, I've looked at what areas make me anxious. I wanted to get my taxes up to date. I wanted to see what the spread for the last 3 months is. Okay, it's gone down a bit. Fair enough. I want to be able to I've looked at expenses. The only, luxurious expense I've really got is the motor vehicle, which, as I said, I'd love to give the bastard back and walk out, but it isn't that easy. So I get it. Just hold it. I do enjoy it. I love the car. And I did a big road trip, that was probably another mistake. That cost me a lot of money for accommodation and a few, it cost a lot of money to do that and probably didn't really help my business. The other thing is that sometimes with my business people want me to do things I don't feel comfortable doing. Like, I like to travel and I want to do things privately. Well, people want everything documented. They want to see everything. They want you to be the goose. And that's sometimes in certain countries, you don't want to do that. And I got to be totally honest with you. It's very, very upsetting. It's very upsetting that, they kind of, they want more and more. I'm not Logan Paul who does these fucking horrible sort of stunts. I like a joke. I love a joke, but I'm quite a sensible sort of guy. I'm not somebody who pushes that envelope. And that's kind of, people want more and more from you. Otherwise, they're not interested. They go and do some other entertainment. And I get it. That's kind of how it is. It's disappointing. But guys, that is what's happening. The small business that I operate in, it's tough. I mean, look, it's not zero. I've still got revenue coming in. I still get super chats and some paid reviews. Yes, I appreciate every one of those, but it is a changed environment. It changes. It doesn't stay the same. And I wish it did. God, I wish it stayed the same, but it's like anything. I had a computer business. I used to sell computers, hardware, software, used to install stuff. I used to do it was a good business. Well, it also has a shelf life. I had so many good years, and then it's not the same. And I suppose you've got to look at it. This is how life is. It's not always up, 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 up. It has its downs. And guys, let me know. What do you think I should do there? What would you do? So I think for me, I'm not going to look at another career just yet. I'm going to stay in the YouTube space. I'm looking at my costs very much, trying to reduce costs. If I am going to travel, it's going to be low-cost countries where I can live very cheap and produce interesting stuff, content. Tell me what you think. How is you, if you're in small business, put some comments. Tell me how things are going in your neck of the woods. And guys, I will see you in the next one. I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned. Every week I release videos, so don't forget, guys, ArchieLuxury live streaming, daily live streams. Check it out. I'll put a link here. And also, guys, check out the Paul Pluta channel. I got many paid reviews. And tell me what you think. What do you do when it turns to shit? Maybe it's time to consider semi-retirement. I'm ArchieLuxury. This is the show for today. Please upvote. And please, guys, don't forget, if you're looking for a watch in America, there's only one dealer who I really recommend, and that is David SW. Great supporter of my show. Let's run the ad, and I will see you in the next one. Hi, guys. It's ArchieLuxury. Guys, I want to talk to you about David SW. David SW, David SW. Guys, if you are in America, if you are looking for a Rolex watch of your dreams, in fact, if you're looking for a contemporary modern wristwatch, I strongly advise you to look at David SW. Guys, don't play the dealer games. Don't bring in chocolates or Krispy Kremes for your dealer hoping to get a Rolex at retail. It's futile. Please, guys, save your dignity. Keep some pride. Go to David SW. I would highly recommend David SW, David SW. If you're in America and you're looking for a watch, go to David SW, David SW, David SW.